Hey guys, welcome to the Skolo Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning. This weekend, you get me double dose, all right? So this is my second video for the weekend. I've really been away for long. As I've explained, I've been very busy, but I'm really committed to this channel. So this week you get me twice, right? What I've been excited about, I mean, this came out just a couple of days ago, and I've just been like trying and looking to get time, and I finally got time this weekend to just go through the API. But Stable Diffusion have just released a new XL beta model, right? And this model is available to the API customers, which means if you are registered on their website, Stability.ai, and I will link this in the description below, you can immediately get an API key, and you've got some free credits that you can test it with. And after that, you have to start paying, of course, because these things cost money and people gotta make their money. The point is, Stable Diffusion XL is just been amazing. I've done a lot of videos on this channel on Delay 2, and honestly speaking, I've been waiting for something to come around that's going to be really better than Delay 2. And the old Stable Diffusion was okay. It was better than Delay 2, I have to admit, but not orders of magnitude better that was worth, the trouble. But XL is orders of magnitude way better than what we're currently seeing on Delay 2 or any other API that I've seen personally. Mind Journey is also another image generating website and tool, but they do not provide an API. So for developers like us that are looking for tools where we can integrate into an API and have an image generated somewhere else, whether you're building an application on the web or on WhatsApp or whatever, we are pretty much limited to Stable Diffusion and Delay 2. I don't know if there's anything else. If I'm missing anything, just let me know in the description below. But so far, the differences were significant, but not that much. But XL beta, I'm telling you guys, you've got to give this a try. And I'm going to demonstrate this to you here today. And you will see what I mean when I say it is orders of magnitude way better than anything that has been out there that is available on an API. Now, what image generation Stable Diffusion is, for guys that are here for the first time, what is it? It is really just, it's a model, it's an AI model that has been built, it's made available for developers and people to use. And what the model does is that it does a couple of things, one of which is it can generate very good high quality images, anything from paintings, from art, from sort of like concept images to pictures of actual real things, to pictures of mythical things that don't exist. You can basically just describe to the AI exactly what you want it to create for you, and it'll go ahead and do it. That is the beauty of AI. Now, in this video, I'm going to cover Stable Diffusion XL, and we're going to build something interesting with it, of course. But let's just get through the basics, guys. If you're new to my channel, please remember to like this video that you're watching. At the bottom of the video, there's going to be a thumbs up. Just give it a thumbs up, smash that thumbs up button, and then leave me a comment, all right? If there's anything that you'd like to talk to me about, you're more than welcome to leave a comment, but of course, be nice about it, all right? Otherwise, you can go into the description of the video. I've got my contact information there, and you can get in touch with me, and I will see if I can help you with anything that you need, all right? So I'm going to close this, and we're going to get straight into the business of things, right? Now, I'm going to link this website in the description below, which means you can go and you can have a look at it, but you can already see the quality of the images that you can build with Stable Diffusion. And compared to what was available on Delay 2, I have to say it's just a huge improvement, right? But one of the other main problems, which I'm glad, and I think it's always been there with Stable Diffusion, but I'm just like really only diving deep into it now, that it really excites me, is the flexibility with respect to image sizing and image dimensions, right? Delay 2 had always limited you to just square images. There's two different sizes of square images you can get, right? And you can have a look here in the pricing, because you can see very well in the pricing for OpenAI the image dimensions and how much they charge you for the image dimensions. And if you go down on this website, you can see for image generation, these are the sort of the images they've got, right? So you've got 512 times 512, 256, and then 1024, but it's basically all square images. But with Stable Diffusion, you get a little bit more flexibility. Look at all of that. So you can have that 512.512, which is the smallest. You can have a landscape or a, a portrait image, and you can have all the way up to 1024. That's the biggest size that they have. And then they've got a flexibility in between the 1024 and the 512, and you can sort of select different dimensions. This is just amazing. For me personally, I love this because now I'm able to get guys to sort of choose the dimensions that they want when they're generating an image, and have the image, the thing do that for you. And I'll do a little bit of a demo for you in the end into an application that I've built with this Stable Diffusion. This is not what I'm going to show you today, so I'll do it right at the end. And if you want to see it, you can wait until the end and then you can see it, or you can fast forward to the end. But I will show you how I've applied this model and what I'm going to teach you today in our mobile GPT application to be able to generate multiple dimensions in images, different types of qualities. And I mean, it's just like, it's mind-blowing everything you can do. So let's get straight to it and get started before we run out of time. So you can read this on your own when you get time, but we're going to go straight into the API. And I've got the API window open, right? And I will also link this API URL in the description of the video that we're watching right now. But if you go to the API documentation, which I will link for you, there are different types. You can go into the user endpoint. The user endpoint, you can just sort of use it to generate or get information about your own user profile. You can see the balance around your account, and this is useful if you're doing everything on API and you want to always keep track that your balance is a certain amount before it runs out. You can go through the engines endpoint, which helps you figure out the types of engines that are available, and I think we will do a little bit of this today. And then finally, the most important thing is the generation endpoints, and the generation endpoints cover text to image, but you also have image to image. This is where, for example, you want to feed the Stable Diffusion an existing image and you want it to either do variations or to remove certain parts of the image. We're not going to cover that, but what I'm going to show you with text to image, once you figure out how that works, you should be able to figure out all the rest with image to image, masking, and so forth and so forth. But we're going to really, in this tutorial, just cover text to image, right? And there's a couple of things that we're going to need to get started, right? And I'm not going to use any of the libraries. I'm going to go straight with just working with Python requests, and that's sufficient. We just make an API call and we give it the prompt and everything that we need, the specifications, and it returns to us an image. There are two types of images it can return. It can return an actual PNG image, or it can return a base 64 image, which is a text string representation of an image file, which is a long string, but you can then convert that into an actual PNG image and get the results that you want. But I'm going to show you how to do all of that here today. So start flexing those muscles and let's get started. As usual, if you don't have an account yet, I will give you this link. Just go there and go to the top and create an account. Like I said, you will get a free trial, which you can already get started to use this. Okay, I'm not going to cover how to create an account. I'm sure you can figure that out. Once you've created an account, at the very top there is not over here. I think it's over there. All right. Yeah, I think it's over here. So I will also link this prompt guide, which I've found very, very useful. But at there's the Dream Studio, which is different from the Stability.ai website. It's the same business, but it's different websites, right? The Dream Studio is where you can actually go, and inside of the studio itself, you can actually start working with prompts and generate images inside of Stable Diffusion Dream Studio. So you do not have to use the API if you don't want to. You can directly work from there. And I think the beta version, let's just have a look at the studio, right? Let's open it in a new window. If you go to Dream Studio Home, this is what it looks like. And I will link this for you, and you can create an account immediately when you log in. This is what you'll find, right? At the top over there is generate and edit, right? And we're going to be working with generate, which means we are going to be generating an image from a prompt. Now, this is the studio version, which means you can immediately test the prompt over here and you can generate images over there. You can see the image count. You can move it from 4 to 3 to 2. Let's say we want to generate up to only 2 images. Even two images like this one I was doing earlier on, testing out some prompts. And you can see the quality of the image, right? And over here you get the different dimensions that you can get from the image. You can get 7x4 and all the different 512, and you can you go all the way from the beginning to the end, or you can leave it as 1x1 and so forth. And then you can this is your prompt. And of course, these are the different models, right? So you've got the version 1.5, which is the oldest version. You've got 2.1, which is obviously newer than that one. And this is even newer than the other one. But the one that I want to work with, the one that's really interesting, that I'm excited about, is the XL beta version, which is available over here. So you make sure that that's the one that's selected. You enter whatever the prompt that you want to enter over there. And prompt engineering is a whole field on its own. And we can spend time going through prompt engineering and trying to figure out what is the best way to do prompts. But of course, I don't like to think, and I love using ChatGPT to pretty much do everything for me. So I can even just ask ChatGPT to get me a nice, interesting prompt to work with. And I think I have a chat already open with image prompts over here. Let us look at that one. Create a photorealistic image of a luxury car and so forth. So let's put that inside of the prompt over there. And by the way, if I'm going a little bit too fast, just freeze the video, stop it, and then come back and catch up, go create the account, come back, and then continue with the video. I'm gonna try and go quickly because there's a lot we need to cover in this video. But you need to make sure all of this is working first before you can continue, because you need to have an account before you can get the API key, and you need to make sure everything is working and so forth. So prompt engineering is a field in its own, but I'm going to give you the quick and dirty of it, right? When you create a prompt, especially with image generation, it's very, very important that you get the prompt right, because I get people putting things like, generate an image of a dog. That doesn't really, you're giving too much flexibility to the model to try and imagine what type of an image are you talking about. There are different types of images, which is why I will link this as well for you. I think it's this one over here, the basics of prompt engineering. Go and read it, and it will help you understand exactly what you need to do. But the quick and dirty of it is you need to have an object that you're generating. An object, let's say the object can be a cat, it can be a dog, it can be a building, it can be a house, it can be a landscape, it can be a beach. That is the actual object. So in this specific case, my object is a luxury car. I want to create a luxury car, so that the object must always be in the prompt, what exactly you want. Then the type of image that you want. So Stable Diffusion works with, you can create a photorealistic image. You can do a high resolution, right? High resolution image picture. A high resolution picture will be like a realistic picture, like a photographer took the picture, right? You can have an oil painting. You can have an artistic painting that looks like Leonardo DiCaprio painted. So you must give it the type of picture that you want and the object that you want in that image. And then after that, then you can give it a little bit more background information. For example, in a studio setting, showing the sleek lines and high-end features, all right? Okay. Perfect lighting with highlights. And perfect lighting with highlights with highlights. I don't know, think about it, but look, you can add more details in this as you go back and forth. But let's just generate that. Let's generate that, and then you can see the sort of the quality of images that you're getting from Dream Studio XL. And by the way, if you really want to save time money, you can take your image count to 1, which is what I do with the API, because you actually get charged for each and every single image that you're generating. Look at that. Wow, like look at that. You can't do this on DALL-E 2, can you? Right? You cannot do this on DALL-E 2. This is just amazing. I love it. I'm just like completely blown away. Look at that. You can even tell it to generate a resolution of a luxury car. You can even change luxury car and put Mercedes-Benz and put Audi. Just go play with this and see what you can do with this. So this is a prompt we're going to be working with going forward. I want to take this prompt and put it in DALL-E 2, right? And just show you the difference between DALL-E 2 and... I'm out of credits. Really? Oh, okay. This is a different account. That's okay. It's fine. Because with OpenAI, you pay for everything separately. You pay for ChatGPT separately. You pay for DALL-E 2 separately. You pay for GPT-3. Flip. It's all right. I'm out of credits. That's all right. So let's close that. But you can try it on your own and you'll see that the quality is really much better. So I'm going to close. And also it's cheaper as well, because if you look at this 512 times 512 image and you look at the same pricing on, where is the pricing? I can't see the pricing. Where is the pricing page? I have the pricing page open right now. There you go. If you look at the 512 times 512 on DALL-E 2, that's 0.018, not 0.018. And if you look at the same on Stable Diffusion, flip, I can't find, where is it again? Jeez, did I close this? Oh, there you go. 512 times 512. That's the smallest image over there. You can see the price is much lower. All right, the price is much lower. This is 0.018. This is 0.002, 0.007, 0.001. Right, and you pay more based on the steps. All right, so I'll show you have to specify the steps, and you get better quality the more diffusion steps that you add on. And I've sort of been stuck with 50 steps. I don't know how much is on the do you specify the steps over here? Dish, I don't see settings. There you go. You can specify the generation steps and you can change it, right? And so forth and seed and all of that. So if you don't change the steps, they remain at 50. But on the API, you'll see that you're able to specify the steps, and you get charged more as you're using more and more steps. All right, so but I've just been working with 50, and 50 generates like really decent high quality images, so I'm very happy. Okay, so this is where it is. You can see you have different versions. You have like, you can have a look at the payload, TypeScript, code. You can have a look at the Go, the curl, but we are going to be working with Python. So you can see over here everything that you need. You only need to import base64 OS and requests, and then you're pretty much good to go, and you can then specify your prompt and you can work. The only thing that I wanted to bring your attention to over here is that on the when you do the prompt, you have to specify the engine ID, right? And so before we even get started, we're gonna need to know what those engine IDs are. Let's have a look and see if we can get them from over here. Over there, you can see these are the engines, but you don't have them in that format that you need for the API. Luckily for us, you can actually get the API to show you and list the engines, which is why I said earlier on, we will probably work with the engines code as well. And if you go to the engines code, you can see there's an endpoint for getting the engines list, and probably you want to check this on a regular basis as they update the engines, because you always want to make sure you're working on the latest engine. So this is something I would want to be looking at on a regular basis, and maybe even run a code in the background that just emails you something so that you can just keep track of what's going on. But basically what you need is requests. Let's just look at the code. We're going to import operating system requests. We're going to work with the URL, with the URL, yes, and we're going to build the engines list URL from the host. We're then going to enter our API key, which I showed you where to get it from, and then we will have a look at creating a response header, which is just going to take in the authorization, and we're going to then immediately call that URL, and we should get a list of things. So let's just start with this very simple call so that we can get a list of API. So we can get a list of engines that we can work with in the next one, right? So I've got blank text editor over here. It's got nothing on it. So I'm going to generate a new file here, and I'm going to call it, let's call it stable.py. You can call it anything you want, really. It just needs to be a py file. I'm just going to copy everything that's over here, and I'm going to paste it in here so that I can see how to work with this and how to rewrite this, right? So the API host, basically just cut that over there and just make it a proper string, because we're not really running an application. We don't really care that much. And then once you have the API host, you will then build the URL from the host using the engines list. Okay, the API key, I'm going to enter it in there, and once we've entered it in there, you can then, let's remove that because we will know that we have the API key. So I'm going to say in here, enter your API key. Otherwise, you can do what I normally do and create a new file that you can call config.py. And in this new file, we can then, in fact, copy that API key from there and paste it inside of the config file. And then in here, we just import config like that. And then we will then say that the API key over here is actually just equals to config.api key. That's the config file. And then I can then access it from this other file, and make sure when you add this to Git, you exclude the config file from Git. Then the response is just going to be request get that URL, which is the URL which we're building at the top there. We are going to get the headers is equals to authorization and bearer API key. And then we're just going to make sure that the status code is equals to 200. And if it's equals to 200, we know that the payload is then going to be equal to response.json. And then perhaps all we want to do over here is to print this payload. So if the payload is response.json, we can then just print the payload, and then we can run this file. So let's save all of this. This is my virtual server, and this is where I'm running this from. And let's just start by creating a virtual environment. This is the very first thing you need to do when you're working with virtual env, and we're gonna call it SDENV. Right. And the virtual environment is basically just a folder that is going to be called whatever you've given that virtual environment. This machine is slow. I shouldn't have worked with this virtual server. All right. So let's list this again. SDENV. Cool. So let's activate that. And once that's activated, we can then do pip install requests, which you will need to pip install requests. Awesome. So once we've installed requests, then we can actually nano What did we call this file? Stable.py. And we're going to paste this in here. Cool. Then we should be able to run this Python file, Python stable.py, and it should go and call Stable Diffusion, and there you go. There's a list of the. So basically, it printed the response.json, which is going to be a list of available Stable Diffusion, what we call models or engines that we can work with. So what I will do here is that I'm going to, I need to see, I can't see anything on this the way it is. So I'm going to use an online tool that is called, I don't know, let's look for something that like a JSON formatter. I think I had searched this earlier on today. Let's just search JSON formatter because I don't know what this is doing here. This journeys. Just open the window that I want. Now, let's see. Let's paste that in here. Let's try and process. There you go. This is what I wanted. So now we can actually see our JSON file properly. What I will do is I will create a new file over here, and I will call it the models.json. And I just want to paste this models in here. So let's start there. And end there. And paste that in here. Now you can see much better. These are all the available Stable Diffusion Stability AI models. You can see there's different versions. The versions are numbered, so you can see obviously the first version is the earlier one, and then like 1.0 is probably before 2.2 and is before all of these other ones. So basically the one that we want to work with the beta one, which is the latest one, and the ID is this one. So we want this ID of this model so that we can work with this. So instead of Stable Diffusion, I'm going to just, instead of my file over there, I'm going to say the model is equals to that. Stable Diffusion XL Beta version 2.2. And once we've done that, that's really all I wanted this for. I'm very happy now. I can actually close it, but you can keep it open and you can try all these other ones. I mean, when you have time, play with them, purchase $10 worth of credit and play around with these and try and see what gets you the best type of images for whatever you need. And I'm gonna put this inside of a function. I'm gonna call it get model. I'm gonna call this get model list, and I'm gonna put this in here so that it doesn't, and actually the URL should be inside of here because the URL is function specific. The headers are in there. The host is standard throughout all the functions we will call. The API key is standard through all the functions we will call, and the models will be standard. So now we can build another function to do the next thing that we need to do. And the next thing that we need to do is, where are we? Yeah, I can never keep track of. Where are we? I'm tired today. I had a very, very long day. So you're going to have to excuse me if I'm a little bit slow. It's because I am very, 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 very tired. My mind is working very, very slowly today. So let's see, requests and OS we've already imported. So the only new thing we need to import in here that we haven't imported is base64. So let's delete that. And you can see here the engine ID that they had already given you was a Stable Diffusion version 1.5. And if you use that model, this is an older model, you can see this is, it's not even available anymore, right? So let's definitely not use the engine ID, but let's see whatever the variable was called, engine ID. That is what we should call that. And then let's get rid of that. And the host and API key we already have. We don't need to do that. We know we have the API key. We don't have to check if it's there in the environment variable. And then basically this is a nice big sort of JSON object that is, if you break this down, you'll see you've got a URL over there, you've got headers over here, and then you've got JSON payload over there. And I'm going to need JSON. I'm going to need to import JSON at some point. So I don't want to call this JSON again. I want to call it something else. So let's create a new function. And we're going to call it generate stable diffusion image. Right? So let's build this function. The first thing we need on this function is obviously the URL. In fact, let's take this whole thing. Let's take this whole thing over here as it is and paste the function over there. But we're gonna break it down slowly in a way that you'll be able to understand what's going on here. This whole section over here, this is the URL. So basically we can define the URL at the top and put that in there. So this URL takes in the API host, which is this API host. It takes in the engine ID, which is that engine ID, and then the endpoint is text to image, and it's version 1 generation. So basically we've got everything we need for the URL. And this whole thing over here, these are the headers. So I can actually just like copy them, actually cut them like that, right? And I can actually call them headers. Right, and I can build them over here. I can do that actually. So I can say the headers is equals to the content type is that, accept application JSON, and authorization is bearer API key. Do you see what I've done there? And that API key is defined at the top there. So then that makes this a little bit easier to read. And then the last part is the JSON. This whole thing. So let's see what we can call it. We can't really call it JSON because let's call it data. Should we call it data? Or we have something else called data over here. We've got something else called data. So let's call it payload. Let's call it payload. And then let's define it over here. Payload is equals to that, and let's paste that. So the text prompts is a list. It's a list of text, and this is whatever your prompt is going to be. So let's use the Python string and put that call prompt. Create a variable called prompt, and this is like a Python f string which can be used to define variables inside of a string, which is really, really cool with the new Python 3. So that means we can say the function at the top there takes in a prompt, and then we can put that prompt over there, right? If you like to make this even easier to read, you could do that. You could even do that and put that on a list like that. And then CFG scale, we're going to leave that as it is. Clip guidance preset, we're going to leave that, but this is the height and the width. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to define the height. Actually, no. I'm going to define the height and the width as variables. So actually, let's rewrite this payload in a different way. All right. Let's do something different here. Let's say payload is equals to an empty object, right? And then let's say payload and define the text prompts like that is equals to this. Right? Let's define the CFG scale. Let's define whatever that is. Let's define, okay, so this is equals to 7. This is equals to fast blue. All right. And then we can define the height and the width and everything. Actually, I can copy this as it is over there and paste it there. And do that. Width, the number of samples is 1 and the steps is 30. Is equals to, is equals to, is equals to, and then you can remove all of that and remove the commas at the end, because now these are, you're adding this into this payload object. Just make sure I've got the spelling right for all of them. Now we can now define this as a height variable, and you can define this as a width variable, which means we can enter the height in there and the width in there as well. We can enter the steps as well into the top of the function. Steps. So height, width, steps are all things you can enter in the prompt as well. Let's see what we've got here. And then we create a post request into the URL, and we say the headers is the headers, and the JSON is the payload, and there we go. And then we say if the response, so let's just cut this over there and paste it there. So now we are, no, let's cut that and paste it over there, remove that. So here we are processing the response, right? So we're gonna check if the status code is 200, then forget the exception, because if it's 200, you're happy. What is happening here? If it's 200, we are happy. We can define the data. Right, we can define the data, and we can define the base 64. Right, cool. So So what's happening here? What's happening here is that we're checking if the response code is 200, which means if we made a successful call to the API, we then get the data out, which is the JSON part of the response that's going to be returned, because we requested over here, if you can see, that we will accept JSON. You can actually change this to something to PNG as well, I think. Then we will then open a location, and in this specific case, the location is just, there's a, I don't know if this location doesn't exist. So let's say where we are right now, we're just going to create a file called version1 text to image number 1, because this will be like iterating. So the first one, it will be 1, the second one will be 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on how many samples you asked for. If we only asked for 1 sample, there'll only be 1 image generated. But this allows you to, for example, be able to get multiple images sent back and iterate through the number of images that would be available inside of that object. And if you're not sure what this object looks like, because this code has been pre-written for you, which is not always a good thing. I love to write the code myself. What you can do is actually just print out the data response and then look at what it looks like and figure out how to go into that response object and get the image that you want. But keep in mind, this is going to be generated. If you print this out, you're going to get a very long string because it's going to return base 64. This is why we need to actually import base 64 over there and immediately convert that base 64 string to an actual PNG image and then write it into this location that we've just opened. So there'll be nothing that exists there for now, and then we'll just create a file called PNG, and then we will immediately write over it and see what it looks like. Now, I want to run this in the virtual server, but of course I will have no way of reading the file from the virtual server, which means I need to actually pull the file. So we will use an rsync command, which I was just writing now, but we'll check it later if this is going to work. Okay, so anyway, let us run this code line by line, because that's usually what I do first to test everything, and then if it works well, then we'll know that we're good to go. So if you see over here, there's just the config and the env. I'm going to clear this, and then I'm going to open a Python shell like that, and then I'm going to run this code line by line as I've written it here. So I don't think I actually even need JSON yet, so let's just paste that. Let's then paste our URL and keys. Now that we've got our engine ID, and then we're going to run these lines of code one by one. In fact, what we can do is that we can actually just copy this. I've already explained each and every single line to you, so I don't think I need to explain it again, but I just need to copy all of it and paste it in there. Of course, it's not gonna work because some of these things are not defined. So we need to define the prompt first. So the prompt is going to be, what prompt do we want? We want to actually work with the same prompt we worked with before, because I want to then test this entire thing in my own computer. So let's put that prompt there exactly as we defined it over there. Let me pull this a little bit up so you can see what's going on. Right, cool. Then we need to define the height and the width. Let's just work with 512, 512, right? So height is equals to 512. And the width is going to be equals to 512 as well. The width is equals to 512. So this will be a square image of 512 times 512. And then after that, the steps will say we will make those 50. Right? So let's make those 50. And then once we've done that, I'm going to then copy all of these again. And I'm going to paste it over there. And then I'm going to cut it from there. And I'm going to paste it over there. I've already gone through each and every single line. Oh yeah, payload height is equals to, oh yeah, over here. So that was a problem there. Okay, cool. So let's try this again. All right, so let's try this again. All right, now we've got everything good to go. Let's just print out the payload in here so we can make sure that it built the payload properly with the text prompts, and this is exactly what we're looking for, and height 512 and so forth. Okay, so it built the payload properly. And I'm not going to print the headers, of course, because I don't want to print out my authorization. But now we can actually do the response call, which is this one here. We can do the API call. It will call the URL. Let's just check that the URL is also been built properly. There we go. So let's do the response is equals to, we're calling the URL with the headers and the payload. This is actually where the work happens. So this takes a bit of time. This is calling the whole, API, and this is the work. And now we're going to check the response code, and we're going to see if the response code was 200, because if it's 200, then we're good to go. We've got 200, which means we didn't have an error. The API call was successful. So let's look at the data. All right, you'll see this data if I print it out, what it's going to look like, right? It's going to be this long, base 64 string that takes forever to load. So this is not what you really want. You want the actual image in PNG, which is why we're doing what we're doing over here, which is writing the base 64 string into a PNG image. So I'm going to copy for I in data there, and I paste it here to just get rid of the of the indents, and then so I can copy the entire thing as is and write this file into a different location. So let's paste that. Cool. And then it wrote the file without issue. So what we're going to do is that we can exit out of this, because this is now done. I want to go and actually see the file, because the file is physically there. The file is physically there. So let's list. If we list, you'll see there it is, v1 text to img 0 png. This file was not there before, and it's now been created. I want to actually, now this is what I was going to use the rsync for, where I pasted this whole rsync thing over here. I'm going to use this rsync command to call this file from my virtual server into my desktop of my computer here, so we can actually open the file and have a look at it, right? So this is the location of the file, development SD, and then the file name, and then we're going to do this rsync command. Okay, so let's copy this rsync. Rsync is just a command you can use to move things between your virtual server and your personal computer. So I'm going to run it. I've got an SSH key, so I just need the password for the SSH key, and then it's going to go and receive that file. There you go. It has received it in my personal computer. If I go to my desktop now, I should be able to find this file, and there it is. This is the file that was generated just now. This is the file that we just generated right now with Stable Diffusion. It was generated in the virtual server. I used rsync to bring it over to my computer, and you can see it. So you see the quality is not that great. I mean, this is 512 times 512 is a very small dimension. So what we can do over here is that we can even we can make this like even bigger. Like we can make, let's see the other dimensions that are available over here. Where is everything? Where are the files? Okay, I'm tired. There you go. Okay, so we got 512 times 512. So let's say you can get up to 1028. So let's say I wanted, you can get up to 1024. Let's get a really high resolution, but we want a landscape image. So landscape, it would be, let's say 768 times 1024. Let's try and get that dimension with the exact same prompt, right? So, and we're gonna pay a little bit more for it, but let's test that out. So let's define the prompt and everything ahead of time, and then run the function. So we define the prompt, the height, the steps. The prompt is, I'm going to use the exact same prompt because I just want to show you the exact same thing without changing it at all. The height is going to be the smaller height. It's going to be the 768 because we want it to be wider, which will be landscape. So the width will be 1024 and the steps will be 50. All right, so let us put all of these in the function, and then it will rewrite this. I think it will write over the file, or what we can do is we can delete this existing file over here. So we can use RM to delete this file. Okay, so if we ls again, you see that file is not there, right? And then I'm gonna say nano. Actually, I'm gonna remove this one as well. This one. Right, and then I'm gonna recreate the file again. And it will be an empty file this time. And then what we will do is we will then just paste all of this in that file as it is. All right. Actually, before we paste this, let's do that. Paste this underneath so that it actually runs. If we call this file, it actually runs everything. We don't have to, and it will, yeah, save that. Then we can copy that and paste it in there. Okay, then we're good to go. We can save that file, and then we can actually just run the whole file. If we run the whole file, it will go through all the steps and it will do that. It won't run this function, but it will run this because we're running it in the file directly. So I can actually just say Python stable.py. And once I've run Python stable.py, if I list again, why did it not run? Let's have a look at nano. Yeah, it's in here. And it didn't give me an error. Yeah, I thought that was a bit quick. All right. Should we run this one by one? That's quite a bit of work there. Let's see. Let's run this. Let's do exactly what we did before. It's a bit of work. But if there's an error, we'll be able to find it running it line by line. Okay. Let's define these ones. Right. Let's put in all of that. All right, steps, everything. Cut that, paste that in there. Cool. Let's run this. Yeah, before it didn't even take time to run. So let's see. All right, so we've got the response. Let's look at the response status code. Aha, that's the problem. The status code is 500. Why could that be? Is it the size? Yeah, maybe, perhaps. So let's just make the height. Let's make the height 512. Maybe that's the problem, I don't know. And make the width 768. Instead of 1024. All right. And then once we've done that, let's then redefine the payload again, because now we've changed the variables. Just the payload. All right. And then let's try and see the response. taking a bit of time. Perhaps it was just the image dimensions why it was taking so long. Let's see the response status code. 200. So I think it was the image dimensions. Okay, so it's not working quite with the 1024. That's all right. So this must be now 768 times 512. The height and the width, right? And then now we can actually just, do that. Cut that from there. And it will write the file, and then we can exit out of here. Wait. Did it do this? Let's just try this again. Looks like I didn't run the function. There we go. Now it's written, and then we can exit. Right. Let's clear that. Let's list, and you can see now the file is there again. So let's copy that file name and put it inside of our rsync command. And let us copy the rsync. Let us paste it in here and This is a bigger file if you're paying attention to, when we were writing it, number one, it was, this is way bigger. And also now when we're doing rsync, you'll see it also takes time to do the rsync. You see this one over there, it's 50, 507 and a lot of bytes over there. And the other one was a bit smaller, it was 30. So yeah, so this is a much bigger file. And because the dimensions are bigger, let's open it. You'll see it's different. This is not the same image that was here before. This is a bigger image of a car. And you can also see this is now landscape, which is what I love about this, about this new, it's not a new thing actually, but like this is what I love about Stable Diffusion as compared to DALL-E 2, that you can get different image dimensions and so forth and so forth. So look at that, this is really cool. So now we're running out of time. It's really late and we're really tired. So I'm going to stop it here, and maybe next week what I'll do is that I will build an actual web application with this. All right, I thought I would do it today, but actually this took me longer than I thought, but at least we've done the foundation. So keep this code. Next week I'm not going to start from scratch. What I'm going to start with doing next time, I will just go into a Flask application or Django or whatever, and then we will use these functions to create the images that will display in the application. But before we get there, I want to show you what I've been working on and why I've been so busy and why I haven't actually had time to do this. And I said I'll do it at the end of the video. So thank you for watching until the end of the video. This is our mobile GPT application that I've built. And if you look at it, you'll see it is completely on WhatsApp. I mean, I've had people ask me the question like, how did you get AI inside of WhatsApp? Well, it's not really inside of WhatsApp. It's really using the WhatsApp API and talking to the AI API and building a backend application to do all of that. And I've done a WhatsApp video here on this channel. It's pretty much based on the same principle. If you can go back and go through that, and if you can figure that out, and you can then combine it with what I've shown you here with Stable Diffusion, you can pretty much build this. And now, this is what I wanted to show you. You can actually build like this. We've integrated Stable Diffusion into the WhatsApp existing app. It was just a chatbot before, and it was using DALL-E 2. Now we've added Stable Diffusion, which means you can actually get like this is like a portrait image which we didn't have before, and look at the quality of it, right? So I was excited to really build this over the week. Hence I've been so busy, and I apologize for like being late with my videos, but this is the reason why. So I urge you to go check out our application and subscribe to it and use it, and let me know what you think. And I'd like to challenge you guys on this channel, because everything that I've done to build this, I have already shown you on this channel. If you actually just put the pieces together, you can build this application yourself. It's not that complicated. You just have to sort of like think outside of the box, and I can demonstrate this to you here. Let me see. Can we demonstrate this on WhatsApp now? Let's see. Yeah, let's try that. Let's build WhatsApp. All right, so this is my mobile GPT application on WhatsApp, and these are some of the images I've been building today, playing around with the prompts, but I want to work with the same prompt. So this is WhatsApp on the web, what I'm showing you right now, but it would work the same on your mobile device. Now, on the web, you start by talking to the WhatsApp. So let's say we say hi. It will give us the menu of all the things that are available, and you can do a chat, you can do generating the image or the document, but let's go with generating an image. And the background of this is that Stable Diffusion. So I'm going to go back and get that same prompt that I've been using, creating a high resolution image of a car. Let's copy that, bring it onto the WhatsApp and paste it over there. Now, copy. Let's paste it. All right, so this is where you enter your prompt, create a high resolution picture image of a luxury car. So instead of luxury car, I'm going to say luxury Mercedes Benz car. Okay, I'm gonna say Mercedes Benz. I'm gonna be very, very specific. Mercedes Benz car in a studio setting. Okay, so that's the prompt that I've given it. Then it's gonna ask me what dimensions I want, which we didn't have before. Here now you can select square, landscape, or horizontal, and I'm just going to say landscape, which is number 2, and then it's gonna go and do it. So now it's doing that, all of this work that we had over here. It's doing all of this in the background. It's looking for the, it's entering. I've already preset the dimensions in there from you telling me that you want a landscape image. It's calling the API and it's done. All right. And there's the image, right? So I'm going to click on it so I can show you, and it sends the image directly to you on your WhatsApp. How cool is that? I've built this application. Now, you're not proud of me, guys. So go test it out. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. This is a high resolution Mercedes-Benz picture. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So next week, I'm going to show you not how to do this. This you have to go and pay for it on my WhatsApp website. But what I'm going to show you next week is how to use this API of Stable Diffusion on your own web application. So we're going to build our own web application. Maybe we'll even do it on Django. Hey, maybe we'll even do it on Django, because maybe, I want you guys to like go and build your own stuff and start making money and stuff like that. So we'll see you next week again. And thank you guys for watching, and go check out mobile-gpt.io and test out my application, and I'll be curious to see your comments in the description below. So bye bye, I'm out of here.